Hello and welcome to my veteran Maelstorm arena guide. This is a guide for the average player by an average player, and trust me, by the end of the stage you'll see just how average I am. We've had a pretty clean run up until now. Unfortunately in this stage I die I think 5 or 6 times. So this is my weaker stage, stage 5. A lot of people do have trouble with it, and I'm definitely one of those people. Now, I was stubborn here and didn't use any sigils to get through this, but you'll definitely, if you're looking for that clear or looking to farm, just starting out, you're definitely going to want to use sigils, and I'll try and show you when to use them. Now, there's a bit of RNG at play in this. It's one of those random stages where some silly stuff can happen, but we get through it, and that's the main thing, is getting through. You'll also see the power of the magic and Nightblade here, the self-heals between Soul Tether, Refreshing Path, Sap Essence, Funnel Health. It's quite insane. I didn't realise it till I watched back over this video a few times, and it just really is good to see the amount of self-healings you can do. Now this stage is a little bit different to the others. There are 4 rounds, correct me if I'm wrong. The first 2 are quite simple. The last 2 can be quite challenging. There are a lot of adds and a lot of mechanics at play, but you'll see that as we go through. Now at the end I've put a few clips together of my deaths. Hopefully you learn from them, and beside the point, it's quite funny to watch me die over and over and over again. But just for now, we'll jump straight into stage 5. So as we load in, you'll notice that there are 3 islands. The island we're on is number 1, the one to our right is number 2, and the one furthest from us is number 3. This is important because each island has sigils close by to it. Island number 1 has the speed sigil close by. Island number 2 has the health regen sigil. And most importantly, island number 3 has the shield and the damage sigil. This will come into play toward the end of the stage when we're facing the final boss, but it's also good for reference too, because you'll want to be using sigils throughout this stage in order to get your clear. So round 1 it's pretty simple. Just to explain some mob mechanics here, in round 1 you're going to have a 2-hander spawn along with an archer. Now the archer will move, but only to get into range of you. So if you're looking to position the archer onto an ice pad, you're going to have to move either to another island or move to the edge of an island to get it closer so you can get into range. Predominantly if you're melee, or if you want to group up the mobs in order to use, say, Soul Tether or something along those lines. You'll see me do that a little bit later. Just for starters here, that we concentrate on the 2-hander first, because his Wrecking Blow is quite powerful, and he will spawn straight into a Wrecking Blow mechanic sometimes, and that can one-shot you. So we want to get onto the top of that as soon as possible. Also, trolls are going to spawn. The trolls will randomly choose an island, and they will run to that island, and they will slowly pound on it until they destroy it. And once that island is destroyed, you cannot use it throughout the duration of the fight. This is more important toward the end, but if your DPS is a little bit low, or you're still trying to find your feet here, then you definitely want to prioritize those trolls. And you can range them quite easily, unless you're melee, and then you may have to go over to the island that they're on. There's a lot of decisions to be made here, whether you stay on the island or whether you follow the troll. It's just experience and time will help you make those decisions. But let's dive in, and I'll try and show you how I get through this. So here we want to get on this corner here to get our angle on the 2 spawns, so we cover it with our Blockade of Fire and Refreshing Path. We burn down the 2-hander quite quickly, and the archer goes down as well. And immediately after, a troll's going to spawn, so he takes priority. We're lucky here, he runs to the pad number 1, the one we're on already, which allows us to get that archer down quickly and then work on the 2-hander. Here I decided to run over to pad number 3 to meet them at their own spawn, but it's also a good idea for you too, because after these mobs here, the boss is next, and it gives you an opportunity to grab that shield sigil that was there as well, so you can take on the round boss. So the first round boss is quite simple. She does very little, but she will transform into a werewolf and has insane health regen, but not much of a problem. Round 2, we want to position ourselves here on pad 1, right in the middle of all of these spawns. So lay down refreshing path and just sap essence, and adjust yourself so sap essence is connected to all 3 mobs, and they burn down quite quickly. We're lucky here, the troll went straight to pad 2 where all the spawns are, so we're able to AoE him down with the rest of the mob. It's quite a quick round, this one. And the round boss is up. This one's probably the most simple round bosses you'll ever get. He does heal himself if you're not careful, but just lay down your AoE and quickly burn, and it's an easy one. Keep in mind that you can interrupt these trolls to buy yourself a bit of time. It comes in handy. Now for this one, we want to position ourselves close to the archer in order to use soul tether. Burns them down really quickly. We want to get this Atro down because it hits like a truck. We see our first ice mage of the stage. We want to burn her down very quickly. They're very powerful and they do a nasty shout that can bring you down quickly. We want to meet these guys at their spawn in order to get AoE down and sap essence. We sit in our refreshing path in order to stay healed. Very important. We position ourselves on pad 2 for stage 4. Line up the spawns, lay down our AoE, and we want to burn down the 2 mages that spawn as quickly as possible. So there's one down, and immediately turn to the others. Keeping harness up to protect ourselves, and then also keep an eye on this troll. The giants don't give you too much trouble, just avoid the ground shatter or keep shields up all the time. They're quite slow, you can get in behind them. And while you're on the pad there, you can pick up the defense sigil for the round boss here. Remember that, use the sigils as you need to. The troll there decides to run to the furthest pad away, as he always does. But we want to make our way back to pad 1 so we can down this mage there as quick as possible. All the while keeping an eye on the boss. He does a big ground shatter like that. Can one-shot you, but just keep out of his way and you'll be fine. So we're up to the final boss, and I'd like to go through some of her mechanics. So at a certain health threshold she will spawn adds, and at others she'll destroy one of these 3 pads. Now we can control which pad she destroys by tipping her over that health threshold on the pad or close by the pad that we want her to destroy. Now why would we want to choose what pad she destroys? Well, pure and simple, for the sigils. So we want her to destroy pad number 1 first, because the speed sigil is the most isn't going to be very useful to us. So we DPS her here. The adds will also spawn next to pad 1, which is another good reason to start here. Burn the adds down, push her over that health threshold, move on to pad 2. We want her to destroy pad 2 second, because it has the health regen buff on it. Now I know the health regen buff is pretty good, but the shield and the damage one, which are on pad 3, are much more valuable to us, so we want to save them to last. So we go to pad 2. The adds will spawn next to pad 2, and you can choose to pick up that health regen buff, and tip her over the edge and carry that health regen buff across to pad 3. And then when you're over there, you can actually stack these sigils, so you can then pick up the shield sigil, and feel pretty confident that you can put in a good burn session on her. You may even get her down to execute with an ult, or you can choose to go the other route and just hang off a little bit and then choose whether you want to take the damage buff or the shield buff toward the end. But just keep in mind that if you're too slow on DPS, you will destroy the third and final pad, and yeah, we don't want that because the water's awfully cold and we won't last long in it. But keep in mind, when this is happening, trolls are spawning, ads are spawning. You need to get those ads down quick, get the trolls down quick. We can't afford to lose a pad here. Just keep in mind to always lay down your AoE. 2 reasons: it deals damage and it heals us. Now I chased this troll to the pad number 3 for 2 reasons. It brought those ads across to where they were accessible. I managed to get off a sneaky soul tether there and get them down really quickly. So we push her over the edge here to destroy pad number 1, and you can tell when she's ready because she'll glow bright red and do a little animation and destroy the pad. She will spawn a Nereid, an ice Nereid, each time she destroys a pad. They're very annoying. Can take a bit of killing sometimes, but yeah, just DPS them down, and then remember to take that health sigil if you do need it. Second lot of ads spawn. We hover to the far side of the pad there to bring them in close to the edge so we can manage them. Just trying to wear down this troll. Always keep up refreshing path, sap essence, and our shield. So pad number 2 is destroyed. Another ice Nereid, and this is a stage where you can decide whether you want to go the defense sigil just there to our right, or the damage buff sigil. So at the moment here, just get this troll down, do a bit of damage to the boss as well, and the third lot of ads spawn. We hit them with a soul tether, keeps us healed up and dispatches them nicely. And now she's in execute range, and she's easy to dispatch. Doesn't always go to plan, but when it does, it works out well. Okay, so that's round 5 down. Remember, repair up, and then onto stage 6. So guys, I did promise to show you some clips of me failing, so here they are. Hopefully you can learn from them. If not, they'll be good for a laugh.
Yara go yara! Yara a yara!